In our previous sessions, we have written this program for accepting the item description, price, quantity, and value for multiple items and printing it. Finally, the total amount. So, this we had written. Let me refresh your memory by running it once. Okay. So, let's run this. Edit configuration, simple billing, shift F10, and this is how it was. 101 quantity 2, yes. 103, say 3, no, and it was printing this way. But now what we want to do is we want to provide it a Windows look and feel, right? So this actually takes time. So I've already written this code and I'm going to present it to you and explain the various steps. Okay, to begin with, these are all import statements. We know we require import tkinter as tk. These other ones we require it at a later point in time. So I'll not get into this now, but main thing is we require tkinter. Now, here to begin with, we are setting up the bill. We are creating a bill window. We are giving it a title. We are giving it a size. We are configuring the rows of this bill window. We are saying the first row of the bill window should have a weight of 0. That means it is not going to expand as we keep adding rows, because we know that in this row we are just going to print the title. Similarly, in the second row, again, it should not be expandable. In the third row, it should be expandable and it should get the greatest weight, because here is where we are going to print the various line items or display the entry forms for line items, entry fields. And this will be the bottommost, and this will have a lesser weight than the third row in the bill window. In this last row, we are going to have the buttons and the total, bill total. So we have configured the 4 rows. And what will be there in these 4 rows? We will actually create frames in each of these rows of the bill window. So we will have a title frame, we will have a heading frame, body frame, and the footer frame. So title frame will contain our name of the shop. Heading, this will contain the column headings. Body is where our line items are going to be displayed. And in the footer frame, buttons and the running total. So here, title frame, heading frame. Now, the size of the heading frame width should be the width of the window itself, bill window itself. Similarly, body frame width should again be the width of the bill window minus 10 pixels. And similarly for the footer. So here I have just created these frames. Now in the bottommost frame, that is a footer frame, I am setting up a button for done once he has finished entering the items in the bill. So here I have a done button. Height is 2, width is 15. And when I click on this button, this function has to be called print bill. And importantly, in the beginning, when no items have been entered, the status of this button will be disabled. That means you can't click it. Only once the first item has been entered, then it will be enabled again or made active. Okay. And here in grid, you have sticky equal to west. So if you think of a window, you will have a top left corner, top right corner, top bottom left corner, bottom right corner. So think of it like that: east, north, west, east, south, right? And this is west. That means what done will be displayed on the left side of the footer frame. then quit will be east to it, and then we are going to display the total label as a label, and initially it will be 0 and sticky will be east of the next previous button or previous widget as it is called. In general, all these things are called widgets. Okay, and now our application starts. So this was all set up. Now we are calling the create heading. So let's go to create heading and see what happens there. So here we are displaying the title Vishy's Groceries, right? We are displaying the column headings: code, item name, price, quantity, value. So this is the heading. Now once heading has been displayed, we are calling the new bill. So let's go to new bill and see what happens there. Here, now this statement may not make sense because line items dot clear, we are clearing the line items, and this line items is what will contain the entries that we are making, and that I have declared it here. So in the beginning it will be empty. So why should we clear it? Doesn't make sense in the first bill, but when we print the next bill onwards, what will happen is items will be there in those. Entries will be there. So when we go to the next bill, we are clearing the previous bill's line items. So we are clearing the line items, but then on the screen, on the body frame, you still have those widgets. So we are going to go through the widgets for widget in body frame of widget, all the widgets in the body frame, right? Which are the childrens of the body frame. We are going to destroy it. Then we are going to reset the running total at the bottom to 0, right? And then we are setting the done button status as disabled, because for the previous bill, the moment first item was entered, it would have been enabled. So now we are again disabling it, and then we are calling create line item, and we are passing 0 to it. So this is the parameter that is being passed to create line items. So let's go to create line item. Here we are checking if I is less than len of line items. So again, in the beginning, I will be 0, line items will be 0. So this condition will not be satisfied. So it will come to the else statement. But as we keep entering items, we might go to a previous line item and make changes there in the quantity or the item code. In that case, I will become less than the total number of line items that are there. So if that is the case, it will just return. It will not create a line item. Otherwise, what happens if you have entered 5 items and you are going back to the first one and making changes, and if you submit it, what it will do? It will insert a new line item immediately after the first one, which should not happen because already there are 4 items there. So if this condition is satisfied, it will not do anything and will return. A new entry is already there before you click the moment you click the submit button. Okay, so if that is not the case, then we will come to this. So it will set up the entry fields for the code, item code, and code.focus. What this does is it puts the cursor in this particular entry field so that we don't have to click on that to type. The moment we click on submit button, a new item comes up, item code, a blank one comes up, and the cursor is waiting so that we can directly start typing. Then we are displaying the name, a blank one, price 0, quantity, again this will be blank. Oh no, this is a entry field. So again, entry field. And here what we are doing is we are binding the return we are saying code dot bind. What this does is the enter key that we have, that is being bound to the code, item code entry field. So that the moment I enter the entry item code, when I press enter, what happens? Directly it goes to quantity field. I don't have to take the mouse to the quantity entry field and click on that. The moment I enter code, press enter, it will directly jump to quantity. That's the idea behind this code. Then I display the value, and then I create a submit button for that line item. That means I'm going to have a submit button for each of the lines. Now, this submit button is going to pass a parameter I. And remember, initially I is 0. Here again, I'm binding the enter key so that on the quantity field, after typing the quantity, the moment I press enter, it will directly jump to the submit button. So submit button will get the focus. And now the last line. Here what I'm doing is, in the line items, I'm adding. What am I adding? I'm adding the code. I'm adding a list basically. So I'm adding the code and the quantity. Now remember, this is not the actual code that has been entered. It is the entry field for the code that is being saved here. Similarly, quantity is not the actual quantity that he has typed. It is the entry field for quantity that is being stored in this list. Then I have, this is for the item code, this is for the item name, this is for the price, this is for the quantity, this is for the value. And I'm storing the submit button as well. Now, if I want the code that is entered, I will have to say line items and point to this and say dot get. To get the quantity that has been entered, I will have to say line items dot the list, the indexes, appropriate indexes, and then say dot get. Then I will get the actual quantity that has been entered. So this is all that is there. Now, when the user clicks on the submit button, on submit function is called. So let's go to on submit and see what happens here. If line item 0, 0, 0, 0 is what? The first entry in the line item. If it is blank, actually this should be what, this should be I. So in the corresponding line item, the first entry, if it is blank, that means he has not entered the item code. So if item code is blank, it should not do anything. It should just return. So nothing will happen. But if some entry is there, we say done.config state equal to active. So we are enabling the done button. And now we are getting the item code from line items I0 dot get. This line items I0 is what? This one. This one. This contains the entry field. So we are saying entry field dot get. No, not there. Here. Entry field dot get. Then what item code, whatever he has typed in, that will be stored in the item code. And then we are passing this item code to the get item function. So let's go to get item. Here we are searching through the products. We are going through the products line by line. So what is there in products? This master list of items. So it is going to go through all of them. So to begin with, we assume that it is not there. So we say index equal to -1, cost equal to 0, item name equal to blank. And then we go through each one. We check whether the products T code is equal to the input code. If it finds it, this condition will be true. So we are now storing the index equal to the T, cost equal to the price, item name equal to So we are picking up the price and the name from the products list, name and the price, and we are returning it back. So here it is returning back, that is going to be stored in this. And now we are also getting the quantity from the line items. But this I1 line items, I1 is the entry field for quantity. So from there we are getting the value that is there and storing it in quantity. Okay. If item index equal to -1, that means it was not found. Actually, this we could have done it here itself. But item index, no, we have to call this. Okay. So anyhow, this is correct. If item index equal to -1, we are displaying a error message, item not found. But to display this message, we are using message box. Now for message box, we have to import from tkinter import message box. Yes. So it's a existing function. So we are calling message box dot show error. It requires two parameters. One is the title and the other is the message that you want it to be displayed. Okay. Now, if it was found, then we are displaying the name of the item. We are displaying the price. We are calculating the value. We are displaying the value. And then remember here we entered all blank or zeros. So here we are updating those. So we are storing the item code into this I2. I2 is what? 0, 1, 2. So this is where we are storing the code. So I2 is item code, I3 is name, I4 is cost, I5 is quantity, I6 is value. And then we are displaying the running total. But where is that running total? We are actually doing it by calling this function calculate total. So now let's go to calculate total. Where is that? Calculate total. Calculate total is there here. So G total equal to 0 for I in range. So again, I'm going through the line item by line item and I'm accumulating the line items I6. Line items I6 is what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is your total or the value. So that value I'm adding up into total. And finally, I'm returning G total. Okay. So let's go back here. It is being returned and it is being put in the label. So it is being displayed. And that means one line item is over. The last step of this would be what? Calling create line item again. But this time instead of passing 0, right, which was accepted as I, now I'm going to pass I plus 1. So initially 0 is passed, then 1 is passed, then 2 is passed, then 3 is passed, like that line by line create line item will be called. Okay. So again this whole process will, okay, let's minimize this. Let's minimize this. Now, after entering so many items, finally what will happen? He is going to click on done. He's finished entering the items. So what happens? Print bill is called. So let's go to print bill and see what's happening there. So here I am standard output. That means instead of displaying it in the console, I want it to be sent to the a text file, right? And I'm saying don't overwrite the text file. Keep adding to the text file. If I say W, it is going to overwrite every time. So I'm going to say A. So append, and then I'm printing. This we have already seen. Here the main change is that instead of actual this one, we are actually picking up data from the line items. Here one additional thing that I've done is to display the date. Now to get the system date, we require from date item import date, and to redirect the output to the text file, we require sys. So we import sys. From date time, we import date to get that system. This part is more or less the same, except for this redirecting to a text file, displaying the date or printing the date, and then closing the text file. And finally, we are displaying the message, bill printing done. Now, once bill has been printed, what should happen? It should start off with a new bill. So, new bill is again called. So, we started off the whole process by calling new bill. Every time a bill is done, again it is calling new bill. Now, just to see how it looks like, let's run this program. Okay, so we have this. Let's ignore this part. Now, see here, this is the title of the window, new bill. Wishes Grocery is the title of the store. This one. So title frame. Then column headings. That is your heading frame. This is your body frame, and this is your footer frame. Now let me add some items. 101. Let's say 3 quantity, submit. See, the moment I click on submit, what happens? Automatically the focus comes to code. 102. Now I'm pressing enter. It directly jumps to quantity. Here let's say 2. Again I press enter. I come to submit. 103. 1. Submit. Now I can go back here and change the quantity to 4 and submit it. See, after changing the quantity, clicking on submit is important. Otherwise, it will not be updated. I can change the item code as well. I can say 104 update. So it has changed the name also. Now, if I click on done printed, now let's go to our bill text. See here, this is the bill that is printed. You remember? These were the items that we had entered. Now, you see this done is disabled now. I can't click on this. But the moment I say 104 and type some quantity and click on submit, the moment I click on submit, done gets activated. 101, let's say 20. I don't know why, but 20 Colgate salt is required. Let's say 102. Let's say 33 or 333. I don't know why 333 nail cutters, but the important thing is you have to focus on making sure that these are aligned. Slight disturbance is there, but that's more of a cosmetic thing. Let's not get bogged down with that. But if it is a professional thing, you will have to make it properly aligned. Otherwise, it doesn't look good. 103, let's say 20. That is why you have to give the quantities in such a way that the values are of 2 digit, 3 digit, 4 digit, 5 digit, like that. Okay, and finally I say done and I say quit. See here, bill has come. So this was our previous bill, this was our second bill. Now, why I'm saying these are simple billing is because there are so many things that has not been taken care of. For example, bill number is not there. Bill number is essential. Otherwise, referring to a particular bill becomes difficult. Another thing, taxes are not included, right? So depending on your location, the appropriate taxes has to be calculated and again incorporated into the bill. So a lot of things are not there, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how very simple program, if you remember, the first billing program that we wrote was very simple, and then we slowly kept on adding functionality. So I think you got the idea. That's it. Bye.